I never have come back here until you called me up about this, and I said, okay. Pit stop practice was right here. They called me up and said, hey, Tom Cruise is coming over. This building here, man, I got a story for that doggone building right there. I'll never forget when I...
What does it feel like to be standing here right now?
It's kind of weird because you look at this building, and this is where we won a lot of races, probably close to 18, 20 races in the 89 championship. Almost won a championship in 88 out of this building, but it was Blue Max Racing from right here all the way down to the end of that big building. The offices were all the way at the very end, car fabrication. We had body shops, we had the engines built behind here. It wasn't all these different companies that are in this one building. But this was a, this is where we got it done, man. I mean, Blue Max Racing,
Where was the front door?
Front door.
So like it's 1989, you're gonna walk in here and walk into the front office. Where are you going?
Okay, I'll go down and show you. But I don't remember all these other doors being here at all.
They probably weren't.
I don't think it was. This was just one flat building. And like I said, behind there we had fabrication. They were hanging bodies back in there. Harold Elliott, his engine stuff was about in the middle over here. Let's walk down so we can find where the front door used to be.
Okay, I bet the front door is probably still there. They just added all these other doors to put these units in here.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so.
Was the parking lot always like this?
Yeah.
Like real skinny?
I remember driving in like this. It was always all crooked, and you had to kind of angle your way in when I'd show up. And most of the time I came and I'd go through the gates if the gates were open, and I parked behind the back. That's where the race haulers were all at. There wasn't any room for the hauler to go inside of a building like all teams have got now. But yeah, we'd park the hauler out back. And I remember when the cars would get done, we used to take them off the jack stand, we'd roll them outside, we'd roll them in the back by the truck, and we'd fire them up and light them off and make sure they didn't leak, everything sounded good. We'd load that baby right up and off we go. Head over to Charlotte, win the Coke 600, go out to Sonoma, California, win the road courses out there, go win the Atlanta 500. Everything was right out of this building.
Oh, that's
Raymond
so cool.
Beadle, Blue Max Racing.
Did he move in here after Osterland or Stacy or whatever was out of there? Like, how did that, do you know when they got here?
Well, that would have been Osterland. That was before Blue Max. Yeah, because that was like in, that'd have been like, oh my gosh, when was that?
Like 81.
81, well, Blue Max, I didn't go to work for Blue Max until 1986. So I worked for Blue Max 86, 87, 88, 89. And the last year was 1990. I remember in 1990 we won the Coke 600, and we won the road course out in Sonoma, California. And then after that, that was it. And Raymond folded the team up. Was really having a tough time finding sponsors, getting all the stuff we needed to really put a big effort in. Rick Hendrick got in at that point at the very last year and helped financially fund the business a little bit. And he did a hell of a job to help us win a championship in 1989 doing that. But,
interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, the front door would have been right here, very, very end.
Okay.
And so that is still there where it's supposed to be. I remember there was two doors. I believe this first one here and that one were the two doors that went into Blue Max Racing. We walked right in there, and Judy Tucker, she was our front desk lady. She was kind of the lady running everything at Blue Max, handling all the reservations for hotels, rental cars, all that type of stuff. She sat right behind a little wooden desk, right behind that door. And you would walk in and say, hey, Judy, how you doing? Then hang a right and walk into the shop. And the shop was back there, and you see all the cars all lined up. And it was a pretty small area. I think we had like 4 cars maybe at one time in the building, and the rest of them were scattered through this building down here, whether they're in fabrication or whether in a paint shop or whatever. But like I said, none of this stuff was here at all. This was one flat front, and that I remember. This building here, man, I got a story for that doggone building right there. I'll never forget when I was always fabricating stuff, and I wanted to help the team a little bit, so I had to get a headlight bezel I was making for one of our Pontiacs, and a bandsaw was in this building. I went in that doggone bandsaw, and I'm cutting this part of the headlight door, and it slipped, and it went through, and the doggone saw blade started here and went all the way down to my finger. It went down almost 3/4 of an inch, about cut my finger off. Blood squirting everywhere. And that damn building right there, you know, I've never been in it since then, but it had a big old bandsaw in there, and it really got me pretty good.
That's funny. I almost did that the other day on this finger.
Did you really?
Yeah, the backside.
Oh, man. You got to learn how to work a bandsaw, especially when you're sitting there pushing through like this. And the piece of wood that I was pushing through had a big cut in the wood, and a blade went into that. But it happened right in that building. So that's one of the big memories I got about Blue Max Racing. If I cut my finger off in that building.
Did they do like chassis fab in there? Or what went on in here?
This building here was a multiple use building, and we never did use that building really a lot full time. Where'd you find $5 on the ground? Mm-hmm. Merry Christmas. There you go. That's pretty cool. Hey, usually you find a quarter, a nickel, or a penny. You found $5 laying on the ground.
Yeah, I was really lucky.
Yeah,
it's my lucky week.
This is your special day.
There's 1 gallon of gas.
I don't think we're allowed to do this. Let's peek around here. You want to?
Yeah. I talked to the guy that owns this place. He said go walk around, do whatever you want.
Oh, he's okay. Cool.
Yeah, he was all about finding out more about this place and all that, so we could do whatever we want.
Well, I'm sure it was multiple uses after we left, but I remember this. He had a big crane inside there. I thought was real strange. The first day I saw the building, right down to the center, there's like a big crane they would bring metal in and out of or something. I bet it's still there. But right here against this fence, all the way up against the fence, remember we used to get the hauler smashed against the fence all we possibly could, and that's where the hauler would sit. And so we'd back the cars out of these garage doors here and roll them over and start them up and run them and do pit stop practice out here and everything out in this little parking lot.
Really?
Wow.
And the trains are flying by because there's the train tracks. Pretty crazy, huh?
That is crazy.
Doesn't seem big enough to have all that going on back here.
I know.
No, I mean
right.
the haulers. You park a hauler back here. There's not much room to do anything.
That building over that little piece sticking out the back, I remember it had a big air compressor in there. And I remember Todd Parrott was our tire guy back then. He always had tires laying everywhere out in the back here. He was measuring them and airing them all up and getting them all ready and breaking the tires down off the wheels. It was a lot of tires over there. I remember that.
Huh.
But yeah, boy, standing back here right now, it sure does look smaller than what I remembered it, you know.
What is it? When was the last time you stood back here?
Probably 1991.
Wow.
I never have come back here until you called me up about this, and I said, okay. I'm glad I did, because I'm interested to see what it looks like, you know.
That's cool.
But there was enough room there to win a championship. Back then we had I think we had like 28 total employees, and we won a title.
Wow.
You know. And now what do they got? 200-300
Yeah.
per team. Yeah, per team. I don't remember all this stuff.
This is really neat.
So, yeah, I think they built that after we were here for sure, because that was a big garage door.
Yeah, he said it's all offices in there now, and the upper part is where he keeps his stuff. And I think he did say the crane is still in there.
Oh, he did,
but,
huh?
yeah, I don't know if it's like visible or if it's up in the attic or what, but
I know that when we were here at Blue Max, I always personally treated this whole side as something we never went down to. Never did really come down here, this area at all. But there was enough equipment in there that I remember when we had to do some fabrication, we would come down and do some welding down here, do some things. So much so, that's where I told you I almost cut my damn finger off right in there. But yeah.
wow.
So that'd have been first year I went to work for Max, Blue Max. That was '86, and I was driving for Gatorade before that with Cliff Stewart up in High Point, North Carolina. Then I got my big break when I went to work for Raymond Beadle, and we won. Let's see, '86. I won the Valley Deal 500, just only 4 or 5 races into it, and then 2 races later we win Martinsville, and that was a good feel because you knew that I made it then, you know. I won 2 now, not just maybe lucked into 1, which I kind of thought I lucked in the first one at Bristol. But then when you go to Martinsville and you win again, you're like, oh man, this is pretty cool. I think I'm part of the club now, you know. But
so be like your time here is what you feel like when you were there, like you were here to stay.
Oh, this was it right here, Blue Max. We had the coolest crew guys. We had some of the fastest pit stops. We had fast race cars. We had a cool car owner. Not saying, I mean, Roger Penske, come on, he's like the coolest guy that I know, you know, when it comes to that. But Beadle, Raymond Beadle was the king of having fun, taking care of everybody, always had a big smile on his face, always cutting deals. And he had a lot of friends. And but boy, I tell you what, we had a hell of a time out of that building and with that race team. 86, 87, 88, 89, 95 years are probably the best 5 years of my life, you know, as far as just growing up and learning things and doing that. Then obviously I move on to Penske, and that's where I really got my skills all honed, and he taught me a lot. He's a hell of a mentor for me. Did a lot. But Beadle is the one that got me in victory lane, and that was good. You had Barry Dotson, you know, world-class crew chief. You had Harold Elliott, world-class, you know, engine builder. Todd Parrott, incredible chassis guy. Jimmy Makar now runs basically a lot of Joe Gibbs's operation. So this shop developed a lot of talent, and they found their own ways after the team fell apart. And that was it.
Wow. I was just thinking back to something Kenny said when we were doing the Valley Park history tour.
Oh, you do that? That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that boy, that's a way back in the day now. That's
so we're kind of filling out the story here. Like,
yeah.
So you come there, and then you bounce around a little bit, and you like get your feet here.
Well, there, you know what you're talking about with Kenny back in Valley Park, Missouri. I was racing the American Speed Association, myself, Mark Martin, the late Alan Kowicki, Davey Allison, all of us doing that. And I was racing out of St. Louis in that building that you went to with Kenny. Then I won the title in '83 and got an opportunity to move down to High Point, North Carolina, and work for a really cool guy, Cliff Stewart. He's the one who gave me my very first break, and won the Rookie of the Year with him in 1984. And then we had Gatorade sponsoring the car, and then, you know, we started blowing a lot of engines and had a lot of issues. And I got the cold phone call from Barry Dotson, a crew chief here at Blue Max. He said, "I've been watching you, I believe in you. Tim Richmond's leaving right now. He's going over to Hendrick to start a new deal. I drive for the Folgers car." He said, "We'd love to have you drive for us." I said, "Man, holy smokes." Came over here. First thing that happens, Pontiac puts me in a big deal, which was great. Like I say, man, 3 races in, I win Bristol. 2 races later, I win Martinsville. And phew, career was off and running. And we went 5 years as hard as we could and never looked back much at all. We were just winning like it was almost illegal how much we were winning. We were just winning everything, you know. We leave here, go over to Charlotte, win the All-Star race, the big controversy with me and Darrell Waltrip. The whole damn infield's fighting. I win that race. I win the Cook 600. I win Sonoma. I win Charlotte. Just winning everything with this team right here, out of that little building right there.
That's crazy.
Now look at all those mom and pop shops in there now.
Yeah.
There must be 5 restaurants in that building.
There's another one. We just drove through here like a month ago, and there was nothing in the front of this. Now there's
really?
like another Mexican restaurant in there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. Everybody's got to get their start somewhere, right? But I got, you know, I had some good help along the way. But I'll tell you, back then, this building, though, I remember coming down here in '86 and walking in, and remember looking at it and going, "Man, this is such a cool building. It's so beautiful inside." Walls were all striped, you know, and we're sitting in here. I forget what year it was. They did the Days of Thunder movie. They called me up and said, "Hey, Tom Cruise is coming over." And we're winning like hell back then. We were in that point where Hendrick is getting ready to help shoot that movie, supplying all the cars and all that stuff. But we were really winning a lot of races, and so he wanted to talk to us. I remember sitting at that door right there, and they're walking all around.
That door.
That first door right there. Oh, so Cruz is in there. I said, "Now, how do you do this? And what's the lingo? I want to hear this lingo you guys use. You know, what's loose, tight, and the old hot rod's loose on me, and it's pushing the front end." So we're talking lingo, and we're talking about the way the cars handle. We're talking all this stuff, you know. So we weren't the only ones. They were popping around to different teams also, building that movie and building the lingo and building, you know, the way you set these cars up. And if I say the car is doing this or that on the racetrack, he wanted to hear all those terms. You got to hand it to him. He really dug deep, wanting to really learn and know about this stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about them going to some places. I didn't know they went like everywhere, like how much background they really did.
Well, Harry Hyde, the late Harry Hyde, did a ton. Hendrick did a ton with him. Harry Hyde's teams were running great with Rick Hendrick as the owner. But they're at their infant stages. That's when Hendrick was just starting his stuff. But Hendrick and Raymond Beadle were really great friends. And Raymond was a wonderful man. I wish he was still around, but we had a little bit of Hendrick influence in here. We had drag racing influence in here. We had great personalities. We had big horsepower. We're making that behind those doors right over there. It had been the 1, 2, 3, the 4th door down where all the engines were coming out of. And boy, you see those engine shops nowadays are just unbelievable. If But that was an area that was about 60 foot wide by about 50 foot deep, 3,000 or 4,000 square foot. The whole entire engine compartment was right there.
Wow.
And we're building all that horsepower to that stuff. Pretty cool.
So what was Hendrick doing down here when you guys were up there?
He was just kind of getting going, Rick was, and he was using part of this facility. I barely remember. I'm sure I'm wrong about some of this stuff, but that was one. I told you this whole area from here down, I never did come down here hardly at all. And Rick and Blue Max, you know, Raymond Beadle were such good friends. It's like Rick was in this facility a little bit. So don't quote me and all that. You're really taxing my brain now to go way back like this, but this is pretty clear right here.
I kind of want to look at this thing up here where they had all the
Tires,
you said all the tires. Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
Yeah, I called that dealership place and asked them if we could like go inside there and tell them what we were doing. Penny. There's all kinds of money in this parking lot.
She found $5. You only found a penny?
I feel like I need to frame this one.
And they were like, no, we're not interested. Hung up on me.
Did it really?
Yeah. I'm like, what the heck? All right.
This whole area, all that down there was like super dirty area. I remember it had, you know, the big oil drums were down there. They were taking all the oil that was ran out of the car and dumping in big old barrels and it's spilling everywhere. It was a mess. And like I said, this big building here had air compressors in it, and tires were always everywhere. They're just, it was like a whole back here was like a frat house. Then we're just winning like hell, but this is where it all happened.
So where did the hauler park?
Right here. We would try to get the hauler as far left as he possibly could against this fence because we didn't have a lot of room here.
Yeah.
So the hauler would park with almost a nose, you know, probably about 20 foot from that pole. And the back of the hauler would be dropped down, and then we would have the cars right out here running them and firing them up and getting them ready to head to the race. And they'd roll them over here. And I remember me and all the guys pushing the car up into the hauler, and didn't know any different back then. This was like so cool, and you win and everything, so you're like, this is the way it's supposed to be. We never knew that these trucks and trailers were supposed to be inside of a building all air conditioned and covered up and waxed and polished, but this is the way it was, man. We were getting it done.
So you were still pretty hands-on in the operations of the team back
as much as they would let me. You know, I just never could disconnect with the handling of the car, the springs, the shocks, and all that stuff, because that's what I grew up. That's what Mark Martin grew up doing. That's what I grew up doing. Like I said, late Alan Quickie, Davey Allison, all of us, we always built our cars, and so I had to be involved in it, because if I wasn't, I was just lost on the track. Man, when that car's going around the track, I got to beat onboard computer. I got to know what's going on, you know?
When you did pit stop practice, where was that happening?
Right here. Pit stop practice was right about right here. Anywhere in this area. They'd rolled the car out, and we'd fly up, slam the brakes on, and skid to a stop, and they'd run out and change the tires. And so that was a bad one. Do it again. So I'd back up and burn the tires to come flying up to it, you know. And we used a real car back then. We didn't have any pit stop cars. I mean, we would actually take the car maybe we ran the week before. Very seldom did we take a car that we're getting ready to take to the track, but we take a car that was whatever available and use that for pit stop practice.
That's cool. This is neat.
What's crazy is when you're back here working on the cars, I'd be inside, the doors would be open sometimes, and trains would be flying by here. That's crazy. I feel like I'm at the Martinsville Speedway. You've got that place and a race is going on, and here comes a train by. You're like, that's random, man. You're not used to seeing that. Yeah, that was it.
That's cool.
A lot of memories right here.
Yeah, Kenny, when we were doing that video, he said that you were not a sentimental guy. He said, quote, Rusty would say, F past. So
Yeah.
he didn't think that you'd be really like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. Have you become more retrospective as time goes on to like stuff like this?
As I get older, I think about stuff like that. Yeah, I do, but I am. I mean, I wanted to build my career and move on, you know. I didn't want to be held back by stuff. And quite honest, some of that stuff just bored the hell out of me. I think that's one of the reasons that I don't have this massive car collection, because I drive it, I enjoy it, and I'm not going to sit there and store it and stare at it, you know. I'll do something different, but it's not that I don't have a give a shit attitude. I care for everybody, but I never been one of those guys to want to build a museum and have this massive car collection. You know, you saw the motorcycle stuff, man. We build hot rod bikes, sell them, build another hot rod bike, sell them, go on a vacation, come back, go somewhere different, do this, do that.
So you're just always moving.
Yeah, kind of moving all the time. Yeah, I think so.
Huh. And that's cool. This whole like piece of property right here just has so much with Osterland and Stacy and Tim Richmond and Blue Max and you, and all that is just right
84,
here.
84, 85, Tim Richmond, you know, driving that car, the Blue Max car. He's winning races like crazy with that team too, you know, just running so strong.
Did you ever run into anything doing pit stop practice back here?
No.
Never,
no,
like,
never have done that yet.
no rogue tire to get punted into the woods or
No.
anything? What was all the way down here past this stuff?
There was a lot of fabrication that went on down here. I remember that last door right there. They were always in there, and that's where they would bring the framing cages in when you'd buy them from Ronnie Hopkins or whoever we were buying the cars from back in those days. And they were back there fitting them up, you know, putting the bodies on them, doing a lot of the fab work, doing a lot of the interior sheet metal work, mounting seats, stuff like that. A lot of that happened back in here. I'm a little bit foggy on some of this stuff. I'm sure some of the past crew guys would go, man, Rusty, you're wrong. That's not what we did there. Remember we did this? But I'm pretty close about what I'm saying. And so when you think about it, I mean, look at that building from there all the way down here. It's a real narrow building.
Yeah.
But
It's
man,
pretty big.
It still had a lot of space to get the job done. I mean, you had tire storage, you had fabrication, you had an engine shop, you had race car assembly, and there was a body shop somewhere in here. Maybe that was all the fabrication there, and this part was the body shop. Maybe that's what I was screwed up on.
It looks like a big vent in the wall right there. That could have been one of like the engine dyno exhaust or something.
Yeah.
Maybe like there's big holes are patched up there.
Well, now that you say that, yeah, the engine stuff had to be right behind all that, behind where the air compressors and stuff were. Yeah.
Maybe they had the water tanks back there or something. I don't know.
Well, we had fabrication, we had an engine shop, we had an assembly shop, we had an area to paint all the cars. And that's all we needed. And we had one lady in the very front, like I said, Judy Tucker, making all the reservations for everything. Every time you showed up, your cars were there, your hotel rooms were ready. She did the whole 9 yards. And she would travel with the team a ton, and she was a team spotter most
Really?
of the time, yeah. Almost every single one of those races I won with Blue Max, she was the spotter that would be up in that stand spotting every time we go around.
Really?
Yeah, sure did. Judy did almost all that stuff.
I had never heard of a female spotter before. I
You never heard of that?
I didn't.
That one guy's wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have, it wasn't electronic back then. I mean, the car would go by and she'd put a little check in the box or whatever they did, just logging every single lap that car went by as a backup to NASCAR.
Huh.
You know, and so.
Just to make sure there weren't any scoring errors.
Oh, and there was a lot.
I heard about
they
some
get
of those.
into it. Say, hey, man, you only completed 200 of the 205 laps. And she, like bullshit, got a wrote right down here and completed every one of them. You know?
That's cool. It's like, that's why we do this stuff. If you drive by this building, you have no idea anything's ever there, and if we don't document this, then it's just gone.
Then you think about it, if you really wanted to, you could take this existing building, gut this baby out, just make a hell of an Xfinity shop, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
You pave all this stuff back up, and got a great locations right on the highway. Interstate 77's right over there, and it's pretty cool. I wish I could do a little bit better job for you with saying exactly where everything was at, except that I know what was in them. My brain might have got a little foggy about what section it was in, but I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, the last time you stood here was 5 years before I was born, so I think your recollection is
when you
pretty good.
Man, look at this. We even have a tree grow through the parking lot there. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that was probably just like a little sapling whenever you were here last time.
Yeah, probably just a nothing. Now it's big. Well, now you know what I know.
That's pretty dang cool. This is just neat. And we want to like show this stuff so that the people of our generation who only see, you know, the instant gratification of social media and, you know, think stuff happens right now, you know, show them that like real sustained success takes a long time, and it's hard, and it's not pretty.
Well,
people don't like to show that stuff now.
Yeah, it's people don't understand nowadays that you used to race cars without computers. We never had any of that stuff, you know. Not that it was bad, we didn't know any different. We did just fine with what we had. Now you've really got to learn a lot of things. You got to be smart about this stuff nowadays. Now we got so much simulation, so much wind tunnel time, so many things that the teams use now to go fast. Didn't even have it and wasn't even allowed at that time. And even if it was allowed, you didn't trust it I remember when some of the stuff was just coming on, we were trying everything. I could never get it to work on the track, and I was just mentally fried. I'm so sick of this crap because it won't work. Every time I tried, it doesn't work. I'll keep trying because you're telling me to try it, but I can't get it to work. Now it's working pretty damn good. All the simulation and wind tunnel data, all the stuff I'm talking about.
Now, did you have your team with Don like in the works during your last season here? Like, wasn't that, there was like, you were figuring that out while you were still your last year here because you knew it was gonna stop? How did that go?
Well, what happened was we knew that Blue Max was going to shut down the end of 1990 season, and at that particular time I drove for Penske back in 1981 race, and I had real good success at Atlanta. I finished second with Roger, and then after that I ran like 4 or 5 more races and didn't have any success. He told me, he said, "Kid, I want you to go out and get some more experience, and hopefully one of these days our paths will cross again." So here I drive for Blue Max. I win the championship in '89, and so this is Roger in 1980. Now let's fast forward to 1989, 9 years later. Miller Brewing Company calls me up after I won the title and said, "Man, we'd like to sponsor your car." So I knew Blue Max was shutting down, but they had 1 more year. So this was '89. After I won the title, they came to me. So Miller went with this team for 1 year in 1990, and we won the Coca-Cola 600, and we won the road race out in Sonoma. And then Don was the one spearheading most of all of that, Don Miller. And sat down with Roger, and he goes, "Let's start a team." He said, "You got the sponsor. I want to own 52% of the team. Don, you own 24. Rusty, you own 24, and let's get going." And that's what happened. We found a piece of property up in Mooresville, got it from the late Bill Simpson, built the building, and right away we started winning. In 91, we had kind of a little bit of 92, I guess we had kind of a down year, but then in 93 we came right back. We won 10 races with Team Penske in 93, and then we took off. Never was able to win a title for Roger, but got damn close many times. But when it was all said and done, we had 55 victories total between this building and that building. I think I won 18 or 20 races with Blue Max, and the rest with Team Penske. But yeah, it was a great career. I miss it.
Really glad we were able to do this. It's really special to be the source that the rest of the world will be able to see what you see this place again and talk about that stuff. And like, what?
Well, I'm glad you came up with the idea to come over here and check it out, because like I said, I haven't been here probably since 1991, and I had no idea that all these businesses were in here, and it looks the way it does. I can see through all that. And if one day she ever wanted to come back to its famous glory, I could see putting a coat of paint on it, doing everything, and turning it back into a cool race shop. That would work.
Maybe somebody would do that someday.
Maybe we could rebuild the whole thing and turn it into Southern Country Customs. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. You know, I think actually one of the guys that rented that big building was a motorcycle builder. I remember him telling me that now. So that's funny. I can't really describe how cool it is to stand in a spot like that with somebody like Rusty Wallace, and he's sitting there looking at it thinking, wow, that's cool. You know, guys like that have seen everything, done everything. They can go anywhere they want to go. They can do anything they want to do. But for that right there, he decided, you know what? I'm gonna go stand in this hot parking lot and look at this old building. And it was enjoyable. It's pretty neat to be able to facilitate that, and we want to keep doing it. Who would you like to see revisit somewhere that they used to be? Something like that. If they're a specific driver and a specific place, you got any suggestions, let us know. And if you like this kind of stuff, you're going to want to check out the Racing History Nerd Zone playlist on the channel. You can find it down there, and definitely subscribe if you haven't yet, because we got more stuff coming up. Every time we do one of these, it kind of snowballs into a few different paths of something else, and you gotta figure out where to go next. There's a lot of stuff on the horizon that's pretty freaking awesome, so you're gonna want to be there for it. And if you like what we do and you want to support the channel, you can check out StaplestonAutoworks.com. You can watch the extra channel for bonus clips, like a story that Rusty had about hitting Mike Helton's motorhome with a golf ball. That's on that channel. It's called Stapleton 42 Extra. Logan's not here right now because she's researching parts for her new car, which we haven't shown you yet, but you will see it soon. I'm looking at it right now and I'm not going to show it to you. So you're just going to have to deal with it. If you're here till the very end, we appreciate you, because if you weren't this dedicated, we wouldn't be able to do this kind of stuff. Like, some people come and they watch for a little bit, or they bounce around, they leave, they're not real serious. But if you're here right now, you are the serious person that really matters to us, and we want to connect with you and get to know who you guys are. So if you want to tune in for one of our live streams, we're trying to do that about once a week now. You just make sure your post notifications are on, because we'll say when we're going to do it in the community tab beforehand. And if your notifications aren't working, go into the settings of your phone and make sure that you have YouTube enabled to send you push notifications for everything. I've been told that that might help. So we will see you in another video, which you should go watch. If you haven't seen them all already, you should go watch them all, obviously. I don't know what else to say now. Did I forget anything? No, I don't think I did. All right, we'll see you later.